American Gunfighter Podcast. Hosted by your instructors from Ghost Ring Tactical. With their combined experience in the military, law enforcement, firearms instructing industry, and security, they'll be discussing tactics, training, firearms, and equipment to help you become an even better American gunfighter.
Hello, everybody. Nick Ryan's here, and welcome to episode 3 of the American Gunfighter Show. I'm accompanied today by Mike and Noah.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And DJ Calloway.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having us down here.
All right. Please, everyone, silence your cell phones. Silence your cell phones.
Sweet baby Jesus. 10 seconds in.
And we have our live student audience here with us. So today we just finished up day 1 of one of our precision rifle classes. So we figured let's talk about precision rifles today. And a common question that we get are from students that want to attend precision rifle, but they don't currently have a rifle to use. So in today's show, we're going to talk about how to build a inexpensive but good precision rifle. So something you can get started with. So something that's not just a big hunk of piece of shit, but something you can still functions well, can still shoot, out to 1,000 and past and all that good stuff. Right, boys?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. So who wants to kick this off? DJ?
Sure.
All right. So tell me, what do you guys want to start with? You guys want to start with brands of rifles? What do you guys want to start with?
I'll just start with this first rifle I started with.
Okay.
I mean, I started with a Savage 10 BA. I think at the time they were $900 for the rifle.
Okay.
I put a Vortex optic on it and some Vortex rings. Probably.
What Vortex did you put on it? What
First
model?
one I put on was a PST.
Okay.
So I was probably $1,500 without a bipod or anything with optic and rings. Harris bipod was like $100.
Okay.
That rifle worked great for me. I was shooting 1,000 yards with it. I probably put 2,500 to 3,000 rounds through it. No issues. Shot the barrel out of it. And then from there, I started upgrading it.
Sir, what does that mean by shooting the barrel out of it? I'm asking this because we had a student ask what this was today.
So I mean, every time you shoot, I mean, you're wearing the rifle out. Every time a bullet goes down the barrel, it's metal, copper on metal. So it causes wear every time. Every time you fire it, you've got basically an explosion in there. So it's going to wear the throat of the rifle out, and then your groups will start to open up, and you won't be able to shoot as accurately anymore. I probably saw the decline around a little over 2,000 rounds. Kept shooting it until it just wasn't feasible to accurately shoot it anymore.
Okay.
What caliber was it?
It
was your first caliber?
6.5 Creedmoor.
That was your first caliber?
Cheater in a precision rifle.
Oh, okay.
Cheater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you start like last year?
It's been a while. That rifle loved factory ammunition. I didn't have to load for it.
Okay.
No issues whatsoever. And then once that barrel got shot out, I ordered a Krieger barrel for it. 28-inch barrel, stainless steel. That one I hand loaded for. Then I took it out of the Savage MDT chassis that it was in. I put it into a MDT ACC chassis. And that changed up the optics. It's got a Night Force ATACR on it now. That for starting out, that was a great rifle because I could grow into it. The barrels are easy to swap once you wear them out. There's tons of chassis out there that you can take that action and put it into.
Okay. So, but my question is this: I want answered on. I want a uniformed answer from both of you guys on if I was going to buy. If I'm a student listening to this right now, and I don't want to give them all of this stuff to think about because it's going to be too much information for them. I want to just know exactly if we were going to tell a student right now that was sitting here with us today, be like, I don't have very much money at all, I'm on a budget, what rifle and attachments would we recommend to them? That's what I want to hear. Okay. Ready, go.
Savage has a bunch of options. I'm kind of partial Savage just because of if you want to grow after it, you can.
So give me one model. I want exactly.
Savage Axis 2. It's like $8.99 for the rifle.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
And it comes in a chassis too.
It comes in a chassis. It's got adjustable length of pole. It's got cheek riser on it, which a lot of the hunting rifles don't have. So, I mean, getting into that chassis, it's a more of a beginner chassis, but it's still a chassis, and it's still
and it can still last you a long time.
And it's adjustable for
okay.
you.
Okay. Micah, for you, what rifle would you recommend to a student sitting here today? Limited budget.
So for someone starting off,
just getting into this game.
Just getting in the game, knows nothing about gunsmithing, anything like that, right? It's not hard to take a barreled action and put it in a chassis. It's 2 screws. It's literally 2 screws.
Yep.
But for some people, that's daunting.
Yeah.
To start putting these things together. So like DJ's talking about, buying something off the shelf that's ready to go.
Yeah.
Probably a Savage BA-10 in either a 308 or a 6.5 Creed. I think you're looking $700, $800 around that. I mean, Black Friday's coming up. You can probably get them for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to take that one little extra half a step, I would recommend just getting a barreled action. So it's literally just the action with a barrel.
What brands? What are they going to buy?
So for something like that, a Howa 1500 or a Remington 700 patterned rifle and chassis action and barrel.
Okay.
Those you're probably looking $300 or $400.
Okay.
And then you can at that point shop around for the chassis of your choice, but likely you're not going to know. Right, you're not going to know what works, what doesn't work, what you like, what you don't like.
Right.
So I think buying something from the factory, ready to go, out of the box, I put a scope on it, and I'm done.
Yes.
And that's the Savage BA-10.
Okay.
A Ruger Precision is another great one, sub $1,000, sub MOA rifle, right? Very, very accurate. There's a lot of stuff that's out there. Those are probably my top 2.
Those top 2, okay.
But there's a lot of stuff out there that is going to be significantly more accurate than you're going to be. Right, if I just ratchet strap that gun down to a table and just pulled the trigger, it's going to be far more accurate than I'm capable of as a brand new shooter. So much like DJ was talking about, that growing into that rifle, you will have plenty of room to grow into either one of those rifles.
Okay. What caliber? What caliber would you recommend?
I am partial to learning on a 308 just because that's
Really?
what I learned on.
Okay.
I think that a 308 keeps you honest because there is some significant recoil that you're going to have to deal with.
Okay.
And if you don't have good fundamentals, you're not going to be accurate with it. I think a 6.5 is a very easy shooting, gentle cartridge. And it's almost cheating, right? I don't really have to try very hard to make it work. It's going to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
I grew up on 308. That's what I learned on.
Well, because we're old.
Yeah. I mean, the gray. That's why I keep my hair short so you can't see. But I think that a 308 is. I mean, if we talk availability, right? Nothing's available these days. Let's not fool ourselves. Ammo is hard to find no matter where you go.
Okay.
But there is enough good quality off the shelf 308 ammo. To easily get started. I think 6.5 is another good cartridge as well.
Right. I mean,
that's probably more common, right? Okay. So you'll be better off. You'll be better suited to like find those YouTube videos and find information and find dope cards and find people that talk about that cartridge simply because that's the popular cartridge right now.
We all know. I mean, we've been teaching this class for 4 or 5 years now. 308 was actually common, very common when we first started. Mm-hmm. But as the years progressed, we have started to see that 6.5 has now become probably the most popular or common round that we're seeing our shooters attend classes with. So
I would say, just as a point of note, is that while yes, you can grow into the 6.5 and the 6.5 is capable well beyond 1,000 yards, right? A 308 gets you 800. You can push a 308 beyond.
What's your thoughts on knocking down an animal compared to a 308 compared to a 6.5?
You way more mass behind a 308.
Okay.
I mean, plenty of hunters have come to these classes and talked about their furthest kill shots.
Yeah.
But your average hunter is going to be well within the acceptable range for a 308 round.
Okay.
And then a lot of that comes to your bullet choice too, right?
Yeah.
So what type of round you're going to shooting in there.
Okay.
But I think too is that a lot of people don't have what we have out here, right? It's you'd be surprised how difficult it is to find a public range that you can shoot out to 1,000 yards.
Correct.
You may only have 300 yards. And at that point, I'm not getting the benefits of, a 6 GT or a 6 Creed or, a 300 PRC. Like, it's useless to try and shoot a 300 PRC at 300 yards.
Okay.
That's just expensive. So a 308, I think, is a venerable round. It's easy to learn on. It's easily available. And it's suited to what most people can shoot to.
Okay. DJ, what's your thoughts on the caliber?
Probably either a 6 or a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Okay.
I mean, the 308 does have some more recoil. I would think it would be easier to learn the fundamentals when you're not worried about the recoil. So you get your fundamentals down with a softer shooting rifle. So you get comfortable behind it.
Okay.
First.
So it's not as scary. I'm like again, I've got like a 22, pistol and stuff like that. That's for the female stuff like that to get them the fundamentals before. Otherwise it scares them that it's. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, 308's not a lot more recoil, but it is more. So, getting behind a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 6 Creedmoor, getting your fundamentals down, getting your accuracy in there, and then if you want to go to a bigger rifle or to a 308, you've got your fundamentals already.
Okay.
And now you can maybe learn more how to mitigate that recoil now that you've got your basic fundamentals down.
No, I like both opinions there. That's pretty good. All right. Scopes. Let's move on to scopes. What is your scope recommendation when it comes to someone just getting started off? Inexpensive, but good still. Ready, Micah, go.
So I, like DJ, started out with a Viper PST Gen 2.
Yep.
I think at that time it was just over $1,000. I think now you can find them for $800.
I think so.
They're kind of phasing them out. So the new version is now called the Strike Eagle, the Vortex Strike Eagle.
Okay.
And you can get those for like $500 or $600.
Okay.
It's plenty of glass for what you're going to need. We've seen several students show up here. I personally don't have any time behind one, but I have heard nothing but good things about Arkin.
Okay.
Arkin, I think it's like the EP5 or the ESP5 or something like that. That's a sub $600 optic. And again, DJ and I were just talking about this prior to class. We've not heard anything bad about it. Not even like, oh, I compromised on this because it's so cheap. All we've ever heard is, holy crap, the cost, the value that I get for the money I've spent on this optic is phenomenal. For me, Vortex, you cannot beat their warranty.
Okay.
I've broken my scope. I've twisted the scope cap off, told them I had a class to come do, and in 48 hours, they express shipped me a brand new optic just so I could take my class. Like, they have a no questions asked, lifetime warranty, transferable from you to the next person who owns it. It doesn't
really
matter.
Transferable.
Doesn't
I
matter.
didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And they will send you a new one or fix the one you got.
Okay. All right. DJ, let's get into what brand or whatever or scope you recommend.
Vortex.
Okay.
Even the Diamondback is a little less expensive. I haven't owned one. I've got a couple friends that have owned them. They've had zero issues with them. We've shot 700-800 yards with them. Return to zero is good. Maybe the clicks aren't as finite, like you don't hear the click, but you can feel them. So that some guys really want to hear that click. That's where the Arkin, you would get that good solid click on every one. But I've had really good luck with Vortex PSTs, the Diamondbacks, Strike Eagles. And like you said, the warranty is unbeatable. And sometimes warranty is not what you want, because who cares if it's got a lifetime warranty if it's
a piece of shit
at getting fixed all the time. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
But very rarely do you have to send a vortex back.
Okay.
So,
All right. All right. So let me ask you this with scopes: MOA or mill? Ready, go. Whoever wants to go first.
I've been MOA since I started.
Okay.
So-
since you started, yeah, that makes sense.
I have one mill optic. It's because I got a smoking deal on it.
Okay.
Can't pass up a good deal.
No. MOA, in my opinion, is more finite. Everybody else in the world is shooting mill. I'm stuck on MOA.
Mill is more popular now. Say, the 6.5 plus mill. I mean, that's your most popular right now. But I got you.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I've started with MOA. I know MOA. Most of the time I can just look at something. Okay, yeah, I need to go to MOA without. I don't have to measure it. I just know it. I mean, if I spent some time with mill, I'd probably get it. But
you just don't want to.
Everything I own is MOA. Why would I spend a whole bunch of money on mill?
I got you. I'm with you. Mine's MOA as well. Yeah. All right, Micah.
So I think taking into consideration this is someone who's never shot before.
Never shot
doesn't
before.
know
Just
anything,
getting
right?
started. Yes.
It's going to sound weird coming from me, but I would actually say MOA.
Really?
The reason being, especially on this side of the pond, the reason being is that MOA translates nicely to the things that we're familiar with.
Okay.
I know what 100 yards looks like. It's a football field. I know what an inch looks like. If I start talking in mils, centimeters, meters, you're like, bro, what?
country are
I
we
gotta
in?
learn all this new language on top of that. But if I tell you, like, hey, what's 200 yards? You can pretty accurately point to me what 200 yards is. We can wag what an inch is because that's what I'm used to.
Okay.
Right? The consideration once we start thinking beyond that would be, who am I shooting with? What are they shooting? Okay. Are we speaking the same language? Do I have to learn 2 languages now? What's my goal? Am I trying to get into competitive shooting? Am I trying to get into hunting? Am I just out there dinging steel?
Yeah, by myself.
By yourself,
learning
right?
by
At
myself.
that point, it's just a ruler, right? One works just as well as the other. Yes, an MOA is a more finite unit of measurement, but I think that MOA translates to what we know already, so you're going to shorten that learning curve. And like you just said, right, once I have those fundamentals, once I kind of understand, before I'm 18 rifles and 15 optics deep into this hole, because we're all there, right? We all live there. Then maybe I can start thinking, doing some more research. Now that I understand what clicks represent and what the math looks like and what my holdovers are, and really start understanding what that means, now I can make a more educated decision on MOA versus mill. But honestly, I think MOA is probably going to be the easier place to start.
Okay. Again, with scopes, first focal plane, second focal plane.
100% first focal plane.
First focal.
Yeah,
100%.
I knew the answer. I just wanted to make sure that our listeners know that as well.
No,
'cause
it's good.
That's a question that we have to ask all of our students when they come in. So first focal plane. All right. Moving on. What do you guys want to move to? Bipods?
Well, so I think just while we're still on scopes, talking about magnification.
Magnification. We talk about rings. We can talk about
A few more things before we move off the scope thing.
Yes.
For me personally, I'd rather have more magnification than less magnification.
Okay.
Just because it's there doesn't mean I got to use it. Most of the higher power magnification scopes will start at your 4x to 5x will be on your lower side, going up to 25 to 35x on the high side. A lower power scope would be something like a 2x to maybe a 14, maybe to an 18, somewhere around there. So the difference between the 2x to 5x is pretty minimal when it comes to my field of view and being able to find stuff. But man, the difference between 12 to 35 or 12 to 25 on that top end, there's a lot that you can do there. Doesn't mean you need to use it, but having it there. So I prefer a higher power magnification for the majority of my applications.
Okay. DJ, anything to add on that one?
I agree with him.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Continue with the scope.
Okay, so rings.
Let's talk about how we can attach this scope to the rifle now.
Yeah, and as we start talking more and more about this budget and kind of where maybe some money gets spent, my thing for the rings is just buy a high quality ring. I prefer a single piece mount. Those are going to be more expensive.
Okay.
But you can get a nice set of just regular Vortex rings or Warren or a reputable brand, $100, $120.
So what are the ones you recommend? The Vortex?
Vortex is great. I would go any lower than Warren. American Defense makes some nice single piece mounts, about $150, somewhere around there. I mean, you can get fun crazy. Like we both run Spur on every single rifle. It's almost a $500 mount. But if you think about it,
again, boys, on a budget.
I know. On a budget. But you wouldn't go out, right, and buy a Ferrari and then go to fucking Walmart and buy the cheap tires to put it on, right? That's the only thing that connects my optic to my rifle. So don't skimp out, but you don't have to.
We're not talking about Ferrari rifles.
I understand. $100 is a good price point for a nice set of rings. And Vortex, I think their regular rings run like $80 to $90.
Yeah, because you guys, if you're new to this, it's like you guys could spend
lots of money,
so much money. Oh, we were just talking about it in a class today on like the students were asking DJ with one of his rifle builds, like how much money you got into that piece of equipment that you're holding in front of us right now. What do you guys? You didn't even come to a total, did you?
We didn't even touch the rifle.
But
just
the
accessories.
rifle is.
Come on, buddy.
There's $6,000 in that rifle. 6,500.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I've got them upwards of 10 to 12,000. Just my rifle was $6,000.
Right.
The $4,000.
So that's what we're saying. It's like you could really go down the rabbit hole and spend a ton of money. But that's why the whole point of this podcast is just to give you guys, if you're just wanting to start off in this, you don't know if you're going to like it or not. You know, how can I spend the least amount of money possible, but not have a piece of shit, and still be able to, have a decent rifle. So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, my first rifle was $1,500 to $1,800, and I ran that rifle for years. Same. They didn't change anything on it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys want to move on to next?
So just one last piece on that. Depending on what rifle you buy, some of them may or may not come with a rail to mount your scope.
Okay.
Right. So both the rifles, all the rifles that we suggested, both the Savages and the Ruger Precision have a rail already on there. But just be aware, if you buy that Remington 700 in the Hogue stock for $500, you're gonna need to spend another $120 on a rail that your scope mounts onto. Most of them don't come with a rail already on there.
Okay.
So just something to be aware of when you look into that stuff.
All right, good deal. All right, what piece do you guys want to move on to next?
Just ancillary accessories, probably.
That's what I said, bipods. What bipod do you guys recommend?
I mean, the Harris bipod, they've got 20 different models.
I want one model, sir. Tell me
I
the
don't
model
know
to
a
buy.
model number.
I might have it written on my
I'd have to
sheet.
look it up.
I want to tell our listeners exactly what to get.
Oh, he's got a model number, I think.
I don't.
He's
No,
I do
no.
not.
I can find one real
He's
quick.
got his notes over there.
Very important.
Oh, so you haven't even pulled out your notes yet.
but
Like, you have
most-
5
most-
pages over there.
Most Harris bipods are 90 to 100.
$100, $120 for a Harris.
Okay.
You can save, right? So you can get a Caldwell bipod, which is pretty damn close to a Harris, for like $40.
Okay.
It may break. You may need to buy another one, but I can buy 3 of those at the price of one Harris. But a Harris is a reliable brand. It's not, it's durable. It's been military issued for years and years and years and years and years. It's been dirt napping dudes for longer than I've been alive. You don't need to go and splurge on the $400 Atlas or anything like that. I think a Harris is a good entry point, $120.
Okay.
Just be aware of how it's going to mount to your rifle, whether you've got the swivel stud or a pick rail or an M-lock or however you want to mount it.
Yeah.
That's going to adjust that price point a little bit. But I think a Harris bipod is a good place to start.
Okay.
And then the 6 to 9 inches.
Yeah, 6 to 9.
6 to 9 inch, right? So it's based on the length of the legs from when they're collapsed to how far out they are.
Okay.
You can get them like 9 to 12. You can get them big.
Yeah.
But I think a 6 to 9 is a good place to start for most shooters.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if the bipods, if you're starting at 9, I think you're going to be fighting the height too much versus.
Okay. All right. What else would a beginner need on their rifle to get started, other than?
My opinion would be a good muzzle brake.
Muzzle brake.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
100%.
Yeah.
So that goes into that recoil mitigation. So again, this is going to depend on the rifle that you're buying. I think all the rifles that we suggested come with a threaded barrel.
Okay.
And have some sort of a muzzle device on there. Some are better than others. Some look cooler than others. Some are louder than others. If you want to run a suppressor, you can buy one that's compatible with a suppressor for future use.
Okay.
But some sort of a muzzle device on your rifle is really going to help with that recoil mitigation.
I want to know exactly what to buy, gentlemen.
I think every rifle that we suggested comes with one on there, so you're good
so
out
they don't
of the
need
box.
they're good out of the box.
But if you but if you choose a rifle that has a threaded barrel and just has some thread protectors on there, a muzzle brake would be the next thing to spend money on.
Okay. And what would they buy?
Jesus, I mean,
I would say, I think the Area 419 Sidewinder is $140, $150. I mean, it's
and what is that going to do for them?
It's going to reduce recoil. It's going to help pull the rifle forward versus letting all of that muzzle pressure push the rifle back into you.
Yeah, it's basically to direct the gases in a beneficial position. Some have ports on the top, right? So it expels the gas outward, which keeps the muzzle down. Okay. Some have the baffles on the side, which help to mitigate that recoil forward or backwards. Yeah, I think Area 419 is probably
that's what
solid.
you both are recommending. Okay.
Yeah.
I know like the Ruger precision rifles, they come with a very decent muzzle brake. I know the larger calibers actually have little Allen screws you can pull out,
little ports,
adjustable ports on them. I would say those are probably $100, $120 to buy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, beyond that, I mean, we could say like rear bags and things like that, but that's as simple as filling up a dress stock with some dry beans.
Okay.
Right. I don't need to go spend and get the Gucci Armageddon bag or the, Schmedium Game Changer. You can, absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. But start messing around with a dress stock with some rice in it, or put some sand in there, some beans. It's an easy place to start. Don't be ashamed of, we all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Or it's one thing to show up at the range with all your Gucci gear, but if you can't shoot anything, it doesn't much matter. Plus, if you get really hungry, you can just cook your beans. It's fine. It's great.
All right. What else? Is there anything else you guys would recommend for a starter? Someone just beginning on a budget. Anything else?
Training. Get training.
Training is huge. Yeah, I mean, I first started shooting self-taught myself. First class I took, learned so much. Just,
gotcha.
I mean,
even if it's not like an official pay-to-play class, have a mentor, find a mentor. Be careful when you go to the range and you find that dude out there. He's like, "Oh, come, let me show you about this thing." Like, okay. But I think we had this story on our last version of the podcast. The last episode of the one was when I was on with you and Romeo telling my beginner story. When I first got started, my scope was broken. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I remember
I had no idea. I mean, I spent like $3,000 on a Mark IV ERT Leupold. I'm like, there's no way it's broken. It's too expensive. It can't be broken.
Yeah.
I just thought I sucked. I'm like, I'm not good at this. This is terrible. But I had no idea. I didn't have anyone to shoot with that knew, who could tell me until I finally went to that first class and had the instructor literally kick me off my rifle, got behind my rifle, and within 3 rounds, he's like, your scope's fucked. I'm like, wait, what? What? But no, I spent, no, you're broken. Yeah. And then we put one of his scopes on there, and I won the class, right? Like it was, but you don't know what you don't know. So I think finding that resource, there's great books out there. There's great YouTube videos.
What books do you recommend?
So the Kleckner's, what is like the basics of precision rifle. It's an orange cover. You can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
Modern Day Sniper, DJ's done some classes with them. They have a phenomenal YouTube.
They've got a paid version too, don't they? Yeah.
They've got an app too that you can download all their stuff, take their classes on an app, and it's well worth the money.
Okay.
I mean, and it's not that expensive.
And then I would look, right, there's a reason you're trying to get into this game, whether you've seen some people on TV, maybe you've watched a few movies, but it's easy enough to get on the Insta, get on the YouTube, and start seeing some common names that are out there. So Kalen Wojcik, Ryan Kleckner, Brian Litz.
Okay.
See who they follow. See who follows them, right? Start finding these common points in this community, and pretty quickly you'll find a good resource to reach out to. But I think those are some good ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I've found too is if go to a match. I mean, you don't have to shoot. Go to a
just go to
PRS
an
match
actual
and go watch. I
What
guarantee
match to go to?
I would guarantee
throw the name out again.
a PRS match,
There you go. I just
precision
want them to
rifle
know.
match.
Yeah.
90% of those guys will sit and talk to you.
Okay.
I mean, if you ask them a question, 90% of them will answer your question. They'll talk to
They
you.
wanna help.
They'll give you advice. They want to help. They want more people in the sport.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn a lot. Just sit back and listen to some guys talking. I mean, just there's a lot of information out there that a lot of guys are willing to give up just to help other people get started.
Okay.
I think too is an abundance of patience. Be patient.
Oh, okay.
Right. Don't try and bite off more than you can chew. This takes some time. There's a lot to this game. But once you have the basics, it starts to kind of all fall into place. So just be patient, practice, and get training. I think that's really, really the big one.
Okay.
Is go take a class. Go take a class.
Yeah, I would say if you're starting out, go buy a budget rifle build and then take the rest of the money and go take a class.
Yeah.
And see if you really like it before dumping thousands and thousands of dollars
Yeah,
into
and
something.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
All right. Anything else to add before we bring on our first guest?
If you've got a buddy or you've got people at the range, you might just ask like, hey, do you mind what are you shooting? Have a buddy take you out, right? If you have that mentor, you can find that person. I mean, I don't know how many rifles you have, probably more than I do. I've got a good 5-6 precision rifles at my house. I'd be, happy if people ask like, hey, can we go try this out? Yeah, a couple rounds here or there, just to get a feel for it, even if it's something you're interested in. Because it's a lot to bite off. I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to get within $1,500 to $1,800
On your first rifle.
on your first rifle. That's a pretty big investment to try something.
Yeah.
So if you know someone or you know someone who knows someone, take that opportunity if they're going to the range. Like, hey, do you mind if I tag along and just get a feel for this?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
And I would say be prepared because once you start ringing steel,
It's addictive.
it's addictive.
It is addictive.
All right. All right. All right. We're going to welcome our first guest on. We have Jared Zimprich.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Let me
I
shake your
appreciate it.
hand, sir.
Welcome on.
I'm not
Welcome
gonna
on the
hurt you.
show.
I'm not going to hurt you.
Yeah, watch the finger.
I know. So, sir, what is your question for us?
Well, I first want to say I think this is a great show for me to be on, just because I signed up for Precision Rifle with you guys with no rifle. Like I didn't
Okay.
have a rifle yet, but it's something I wanted to do.
When you first time, this is your second
This is my
time?
second time taking
Yeah.
it, but the first time I signed up for your course and I didn't even have a rifle yet.
Okay.
And I wanted to eventually become a hunter for my first time, and I thought this would be great as a kind of a foundation.
Okay.
And so talking with you guys and chatting via email, etc., I did build that budget, long-range precision rifle, a Tikka T3X CTR with the Viper PSD2.
Okay.
That you guys kind of helped me put together. So thank you. So now I'm here at my second class.
Yes.
And between that
And now
class,
you've been hunting, yes.
yeah, between that class that I first took and now, I've gone on an elk hunt, bison hunt, another bison hunt. So it's paid dividends. So, I guess my question now today is like, so I went 6.5 Creedmoor,
Okay.
which is great for that medium game, right? That white-tailed deer, et cetera, right? You got a good shot. You hit, for an elk, it's good too, right? Cow elk. But like that 6.5 Creedmoor, like that low recoil, manageable, comfortable, right? But I want to go to that next level to a bigger game
What
type.
type of bigger game?
I mean, obviously everyone wants to go for the bear, the grizzly, the Yukon style, the moose, right?
Okay.
So I'm thinking like, is there a 6.5 similar caliber one step up, right? Or is it, that I want to get your guys' thoughts and perspective on that.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I'll tell you that. I mean, I knocked down, I didn't knock down, but my son knocked down a buffalo with the 308.
Okay.
So, I mean, he got it right in the heart, fucking just blew that heart out, dropped it immediately.
So I think 300 Win Mag.
Okay.
I don't know that. Hey, I don't know how that stacks up with 308.
Yeah, yeah. You guys go.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
I would say 300 PRC.
Okay.
It's comparable to a Win Mag. I think you've got more options on bullets. The Win Mag, you're going to be. I mean, if we don't get too deep into twist and all that stuff, you're going to have more options with a faster twist with a PRC, so you can run a heavier bullet. My 300 PRC, I've shot anywhere from 110 grain bullets to 250 grain bullets, and it shoots every one of them fantastically.
Okay.
And I haven't shot any big game with it, but based on what it does to the smaller game I've hit with it, it would definitely take down anything you want to shoot with it.
Now, if we keep it to the budget rifle, like kind of theme right now, is there
A 300 PRC for a Ruger RPR or a Savage Elite?
I recently bought a Savage Elite in an MDT chassis, 300 PRC. I was like $1,800.
Okay, it's not bad.
I wouldn't take that rifle hunting. It's very, very heavy. So you could probably save a little bit of money on more of that hunting style rifle, which we can put a thumbtack in that and kind of talk about that. I know it's come up a hunting rifle versus a precision rifle.
Yes.
We'll talk a little bit about that, I think. For me, I would either say a 300 PRC or a 300 Norma would probably be that next big step up. 300 Win Mag, I think like DJ was saying that your availability of your bullets that are out there are easily obtainable, a much smaller window with the Win Mag. I think nowadays, like, you can order just about any rifle in any caliber. It's not going to be some weird off the wall kind of thing. I think they all have reasonable recoil to take one or two shots, right? To make those kill shots, and definitely that's big enough for a moose. It's big enough for a bear. Those would be my two.
Yeah.
cool?
All right. Does that answer your question, sir?
Absolutely.
All right, sir.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
Thanks for
coming on,
having
man.
me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks.
All right.
All right, we're going to invite our next guest on, JT Gillespie. Nice to have you, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Good to see you.
So first
Again.
off, JT, how many classes have you attended here?
That's a
loaded
secret
question.
answer. 10. This is my 10th total class. 10th class.
10th total.
10th class.
Yes.
At Ghost
You've
Ring.
repeated. classes.
We don't even have 10
multiple.
classes, so that
Yeah,
tells you
correct.
something.
Yes.
Yes. Been back multiple times for various classes.
All right, sir. What is your question?
I think a lot of guys, and I did this as well, building, where do you spend the money? Do you spend $800? If you're building a $1,200 build, that's your budget. Do you spend $1,000 on the rifle and then put a $200 Nikon on the rifle? Or where do you, obviously that was,
yeah.
I know.
No.
But
Continue.
anyways, where do you budget the money towards the rifle itself and then the scope? Because obviously those are your two highest costs.
Yeah.
When you're building the rifle, how do you manage that, or where do you spend your money? You're Mikey. You had said that you're going for max magnification, higher magnification. But do you, when you're looking at the scope, do you sacrifice clarity
Magnification. Okay.
for that magnification, or do you keep that? And that's kind of going to the scope again. But where do you spend that money on a budget build?
So one point of note is that a common pitfall is that people have a total dollar amount they want to spend, right? And they start chiseling away at that dollar amount. And so usually we start at the rifle and then we get to the scope and it's like, well, shit, out of my $2,000, I have $85.32 left. Fuck. So then you buy like the $15 Walmart scope rings and you buy the $35 Caldwell bipod. The cost of one item is not necessarily associated to the cost of another item. So you have to look at each piece as its own cost.
Individually,
Right? And this is absolutely a game of diminishing returns. I would say, especially when it comes to the optic, go into a store. Go to Cabela's. Go to Bass Pro Shop. Go to Sportsman's Warehouse. They will more than likely, if they're a halfway decent salesperson, pull that scope out from underneath the counter and look through it. A lot of them have like a little plastic model rifle. They can just pop the optic onto it. I used to work, this is a long way around the answer. I used to work for Best Buy in the home theater department many lifetimes ago. And people would always come in, what's the best speaker that I should get for my home theater? Oh, I can tell you the specs and the ranges, but my ear hears things differently than your ear hears things. So if you can look through that $600, $500 Arkin, $600 Vortex, and then look through that $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 Night Force or Leupold, and really not see, sure, the glass is a little bit clearer. Yes, things are mildly crisper, but certainly not 10 times more, right? A lot of times you're going to pay for that little emblem on the side of that optic, right? It may be very feature rich, kind of like DJ was talking about, those tactical clicks and some other things, but you can start to sort of peel away some of those features. Zero stop, nice. Necessary? Nope, not really. I can work my way around it.
But no, I think that's great. You know, it's like, yeah, looking through it and deciding, it's like, okay, I got this $500 scope. How much different is it from that $4,000 scope? And it's like, can I deal with this? Am I good? Am I going to be comfortable with this compared to this?
Yep.
I think it's good.
Yeah. And I think, you know, again, it's going to be based on your budget. What's cheap for me or you may not be cheap for someone else, or vice versa. But I think really just getting your hands on it, and it's tough, right? You go to shop online, we get the best deals online, but just because you go into Cabela's doesn't mean you got to buy from Cabela's. Yeah. Right? Just go in, but get hands on it. At least get some idea. Like, okay, this is about where I thought was okay for me and my budget. And now when you go and read those reviews online, this looked like the Diamondback. This felt this way. Now you have some frame of reference, right? Now you've got some data points that you can start sort of referencing when you get through there. I personally would spend the majority of my budget on an optic. Okay. You can, and the first time you came here, you had that Hunter chassis, right? No adjustability. Right. You had maybe a little built-up cheek piece on there.
Yep.
It's not great, but I can work with it.
Make it work.
I can make it work, right? But I want for me, the majority of my budget is going to go into that optic. That's really where I want to spend a lot of my money. Because I can go get a Remington 700 in a Hogue stock. Not a lot of adjustability. I'm going to have to, work my way through it, but I can get one of those for $400 or $500. I can get one on sale. I can get a used one. Right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying used guns. Nothing wrong. I'd buy them from a reputable dealer that you know well enough. Cabela's is a good one. I think they've got some 100-point checkpoint list or something when they buy guns from people, used guns. I wouldn't go to fucking Larry and Moe's pawn shop down the street and pick
buy
up some
somebody's
fucking
blown out rifle.
yeah, to get DJ's fucking shot out 5,000 rounds through the barrel or whatever. But yeah, for me, I would say 60 to 70% of my budget is going to go into that optic, right? I can suffer through a $30 bipod. I know it's not the best, but that optic is really what connects me to what I'm shooting
to the target.
That's where I'm going to spend the majority of my budget.
Yeah, DJ.
Yeah, and I agree with him. I mean, you buy an $800 rifle, you should probably spend $600 to $800 on an optic. I mean, if you don't have an optic that's gonna do what your rifle can do, why have it? If it's not gonna have repeatability.
I think that's kind of the general consensus out there is if you're going to spend as much on the optic as you did the rifle, at least, right?
Yeah.
So figure out what your budget is, and then either divide that by 2 or figure. Yeah.
I mean, and then Arkin. I mean, like if you shop around on an Arkin right now, I mean, like there's some promo codes out there from some YouTube guys. You get like $175, $200 off.
Yeah, you get the rings, you get the scope, you get a T-shirt. We got a couple of students that are here right now that both of them have the Arkins.
I think they're in our audience.
They're in fact in our audience. I'm gonna look over there, but you guys can't see them. But I'm looking at them smiling. And they pay, I mean, it's an extra $80, $90 or whatever, but it comes with everything, and you can find those deals, right? If you do enough little research. And that's the other thing, right? Just be patient. Be patient. You don't gotta blow it all in one spot, right? Like wait for a Black Friday deal, wait for some coupon codes, and you can start saving some cash.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, JT?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's good to see you again.
All right, we're going to welcome our next guest, Ric Ashby. Thanks for being on the show, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What is your question for us?
So we've covered most of the, I think anyways, pretty well the realm of entry level getting into this. Right. Once you already have your entry level rifle, my first one was a Tikka T3.
Okay.
Killed my first deer with that. Thought it was pretty cool. But I immediately jumped to the custom rifle range. So
you went straight
you
from
added another zero to the end of the equation, right? Sort of crazy.
least.
So without doing that, if you wanted to go ahead and take your first precision rifle,
Okay.
and you spent $1,500 or whatever it is for the whole system, and you ran into a little bit more money, what would be the first things that you would add to that to be able to give you the best bang for the buck, the most benefit results-wise, and prioritize that? What would be the first thing that you would look at, and then maybe back it down to where you're going to get the best results when you're out there on the range?
Okay. Look, can I ask you a question first before we answer that one? When you added that extra zero to your equation, what did you get for that extra zero between your Tikka to what you got with your custom? What did that zero buy you?
Magnification and the optic primarily. That was the biggest bang, right? After that, a lot of it's bougie.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I could still shoot great with that Tikka, right? But I think it's just it's the bouge. Yeah,
You just
it's the
felt
bouge.
you just went
Flex.
deep.
Massive
went deep
flex.
into
I did. I got sucked in. It's a rabbit hole, like you said. I mean, it's crazy how much you can spend, but you don't have to, right? So if you came into and you already had your build and you came into $1,000, where would you take that $1,000 and apply it to
$1,000.
that?
Okay, now he's really getting
Okay,
detailed.
so now we're into a
Let's say
specific
$1,000.
dollar
Okay.
amount, $1,000. DJ, you wanna spend your 1,000 first?
Yeah, spend your
I've
1,000.
already
buddy.
got spent. Atlas bipod
Okay.
and a spur scope mount.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Spouted that right out.
Oh, it was fucking
Wow. I know that's a tough question. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to actually go in a slightly different direction because I have spent the majority of my money on my optic already, and I think a Harris bipod is a fantastic place to start and good enough to grow into. I would actually probably get some ancillary equipment, a laser rangefinder. I'd probably pick up something along that line. That'll probably run you $200, $300, $400 depending on what you're looking for. And then it's gonna sound weird, I know it, but a Kestrel, a wind meter.
I don't think it sounds weird. Yeah. I
So-
figured that's where you were going with it.
So here's and I'll give you a little reason why. And it's I think that again, and I say this every podcast, so I'm gonna have to stop saying this, but I don't mean to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we do a phenomenal job in this class particularly, right? Because technology, man, you want to talk about shortening a learning curve, right? Unless you've grown up, which I didn't. I didn't grow up hunting with my dad, and he's like, "Oh, you feel that 5 mile an hour? You'll feel that on your face." I'm like, "Okay, but I can feel a 75 mile an hour wind on my face too." What does that tell me? It doesn't tell me anything. So unless you know these things, it's hard. It's hard to kind of figure that out, right? And so to have that technology, that backup of, okay, what am I feeling? It feels like this.
And then verifying it.
That is 8 miles an hour. Instantly, I have objective data that now I can associate to my environment. That's going to shorten that learning curve as opposed to like, is that 5 miles an hour? Is that 7 miles an hour? I don't know. Right now, I've got that
Nothing to
objective
back it
data.
up, yeah.
And the same with my laser rangefinder, right? Yes, I can mill out a target on my scope. Sure, I can go to a city range, a public range where I know that's 100, that's 200, that's 300. But maybe I don't have that. Maybe I'm out, in BLM somewhere and I'm setting up pumpkins and tannerite and shooting at those. I'm like, well, I don't know how far away that is. 400-ish. That's going to make that learning process a little bit longer, right? But if I've got definitive data from my laser rangefinder, now I know. Now I can start to make associations between my weather, my conditions, my range, my dope, these things. That's going to be very, very helpful. And then lastly, I'd probably splurge a little bit, 20, 30, $40 on a good ballistic app. There's plenty of free ones out there, but spending a little bit of money, you get a little bit more finite information. You got to be careful. Garbage in is garbage out when it comes to those apps. So it's a good tool, but until I learn how to use it, I could kind of hamper myself. But those are my top three to have a little extra coin, right? Because my rifle is already set up. I'm good. I can grow into this. But a laser rangefinder, a cheap wind meter. I don't need the $900, Kestrel ballistic, all that kind of stuff. Just something that's going to tell me where I'm at, and a ballistic app. Those would be that's where I'd spend my grand. And ammo. Right at that point, I probably have a couple hundred rounds I can buy too.
Yeah. And I would say if it's not for the rifle, then yes, laser rangefinder. Yeah. I would personally buy a pair of binoculars.
Binos, yeah.
Binos that are rangefinding. I mean, they're more.
What were your
more
3Ks?
useful.
The SIG, yeah.
Well, when they were new, they just came out when I got them, but now they're down to.
I can't remember what I bought them for. I think I bought mine for around like $800.
Yeah, I think you're right in that $1,000 range. They're
Oh,
nice.
and we're talking about the which model we have, the SIG
3Ks.
the SIG 3Ks. They're the binos with the rangefinder built into them.
Yeah, I mean the smaller rangefinders are fine, but now you're carrying 2 items.
Yeah.
Versus one.
And again, too, on that point, right? Like the incremental increases over time, you're gonna spend more money.
Always.
Right? Because I've got 2 laser rangefinders and then a pair of SIG 10Ks. Could I have just gone out and bought the SIG 10Ks and been done?
They didn't have them. They didn't
have them back then.
Yeah.
But
It's
that's-
incremental, like you said.
yeah, that's
You're
almost a
adding to.
$3,000 pair of binoculars. Do I need that as a brand new shooter? Nope. Do I have them now? Because they're fucking cool. And that's that bouge, right? That's that extra zero. So now I can start refining. But yeah, just starting out, just understand, right? Those incremental increases over the long run, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But then you've got a spare set, right? Then you can hook your buddy up and like, hey man, I don't know how much gear I've given away to friends.
I haven't received any of it.
Friends,
Shit.
not coworkers, friends.
And if you want to spend that $1,000 to help yourself and your buddies, buy a suppressor.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Training. Get training. Did we say training already? Get training.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Awesome.
All right. So that'll wrap up our podcast for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully this has answered all of your guys' questions on if you're trying to do a budget build on a precision rifle so you can attend some long range classes. If you guys got any other questions or any other things you want us to answer on the podcast, you guys can comment those below and we'll do our best to get those on the show. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the American Gunfighter Podcast. Be sure to listen next week. And please don't forget to leave us a review. Also, if there's a topic you'd like us to look into, please be sure to leave a comment.